and 60s, uh, there were a lot of different people thinking that it would come out positive, that there weren't as many people who were fucked up and believed that America has it too good or some shit. I mean, granted, I mean, obviously we have it better than people, not people, but a desert lifestyle. But we have it better than that. But it's kind of hard, I think, to think about the beginning and the end. You know, the beginning of all this stuff and the fact that so many people got training all way on shore and offshore and away from all the hustle and bustle and stuff like that. And I think that went into the ways of thinking, I guess, of people. Or maybe people were just fucked up in the beginning. I mean, maybe they didn't know how to express themselves emotionally. Maybe some people, or the people who were running the money, I guess. There were a bunch of private companies that did this. And when these private companies invested into an economy, they expected to see a profit. And a lot of times, I think what ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Al-Qaeda, I don't know how to pronounce it really that well, but what they brought their holy war, I guess, or their jihad, or their tribulation, I guess. It's not really like, all right, cool. When they brought that thing that people saw other people profiting, and they didn't want that to happen because they thought that's kind of like paranoia about being the next something as far as Germany goes, being the next people who did ethnic cleansing and stuff like that, and but actually that already happened. The sarin gas was a terrorist attack, and that's what they should have known.
You got more guys coming up from the south. You see him? Step right up, assholes. Look at these Peggy. Goodbye, Peggy.
That basically happened, and it was because of the people, I think, who were up top, and how sometimes they just didn't give a shit about people because they were making money hand over fist either way. And it had a lot to do with a lot of disagreements that people were saying that where the money should have gone, or how the money should have been spread out. I think that kind of affected a lot of different tensions and people who were just looking to be able to make a buck and didn't know how, and or weren't trained enough to be able to do so, so they picked up guns. And that's the reason why I say to all Middle Eastern people, sell the sand. Like, sell it. No matter if anyone wants it or not, you can still sell it to the stores and people will actually buy it. It's hard to say that it's the government's and to say that, but to get special permissions, all you have to do is usually get certain permits to be able to sell a certain part of your land that you own, or a certain part of the land that the government owns, or anything like that. It's really easy to do, as far as much easier than picking up guns and shooting people and taking lives. And that's the reason why I say sell the dirt, or sell the, because there are certain characteristics of certain different soils all over the certain regions that that allow people to
I see a threat!
that allow people to make like the best amount of money for themselves, and it's a lot harder to see when those people can't seem to make a buck and lose their temper, and it's really hard to see when the people who are making a buck or the people who are doing stuff.
Right in the dot.
When the people who are making a buck don't give a shit about the people who are around. And that's my hair still. It's really high. How's it going, viewer? Back again, and ready to keep on talking about stuff. But all that has to goes into a lot of different things about health, and the reason why certain people aren't immune to certain diseases, and or diseases or anything like that, and it has a lot to do with health and health in general, and I think that a lot of times if you are to
We're holding it for now. Thanks for
No time to waste. I can cleanse your soul. It will be difficult, and it will be painful, but it will be worth it.
We're in big
My
trouble.
people will come for you. They will bring you to me. Don't fight it. Because the harder you resist, well, the harder we'll have to scrub your soul. Holy shit, kid.
and this like is like the basic kind of structure of what a cultist leader kind of uses to be able to make a name for themselves and to do different things in their life with their cult. And this is textbooks in some cases. Like a lot of different video game places have to realize that this is pretty much art. Like this is like it tells you the motives of different people who try to say things and get you fearful of your own life and stuff like that, fearful of things in front of you, and fearful of the people who in some cases are trying to help you. I died. Damn it. So there are a lot of certain reasons why economies fail, and it sometimes is the fact that sometimes people want to see them fail because they don't want people exploring certain areas of certain places because there's hidden treasures and different things that are freaking there. And that's a lot to do with the desert. Like, the desert wasn't always there.
Don't seem very worthy.
It is not for us to judge. Deliver them unto the waters. The cleansing begins tonight.
For only then may we stand in the light of God and walk through his gates unto Eden. Not this one. This one's not clean.
Another pointless thing.
You mock the cleansing, John.
No, Joseph.
You have to love them, John. Do not let your sin prevent that. Bring that one to me.
Yeah, and a lot of times people use all these different kinds of things to, in certain situations, and in some cases they could actually mean good, but they don't understand that there's certain things that you have to think about when taking into all these people. So it's for the cultist leaders, the guys who killed a whole bunch of different people, or there's a bunch of times in video games that this has been shown to over exaggerate what people actually do, how people actually. How people actually do these certain things, and like they play these different roles of characters, and they try to mess with your mind, to try to act like there's some sort of sin that you committed, some sort of thing that you did that was an atrocity in your own mind or anyone else's, that makes you believe that somehow you have to be absolved of it. And I can say that there's a lot of people out there that do really good work with people and actually logically take, and then some of those people exist in religion, but also there are people out there that think that
we'll be okay, right?
No, you'll make it worse.
Why?
Because confession without pain isn't confession. You scream out your sin, then you'll wear it on your flesh before John peels it off of you. It's a beautiful thing.
Fucking Peggies.
Show them no mercy. Stay with me. Didn't go through all this trouble just to lose you now.
Good people in religion is a good thing, but acting like we are all without something, or because we think a certain way, we are absolved of what we did and how we did it, without coming to terms with it, without accepting our and going through therapy to realize that whatever we did, we have to forgive ourselves first before we accept any god or non-god or whatever deity you feel like pushing on someone. Saying that like whatever thing you're into, whatever religion you're into, you have to accept the fact that people think differently than you. That you're not the same person, that you're not that person, that you're not them. No matter if you feel as though there's some sort of higher power or anything like that. And that's where I think people have been losing money at. They've been thinking that everyone else thinks exactly like them because they are the civilization incumbent. And no one is the civilization incumbent. No one can speak for anyone else in this society. And if they do, then they're getting paid to do it, and it's only from 9 to 5. Or from 5 to 9. They have to go home at one point and realize that they're not doing the same thing that they thought they were doing. Damn it. I freaking died again. Nobody can revive me. This sucks. Nobody's thinking like everyone else in this society. Everyone's trying to come up with something different and new. And that's where I think a lot of people think that are and they believe somehow that and not other countries, but other countries that don't see eye to eye with us all the time. They believe that somehow they're the ones that come up with a whole bunch of different stuff. And then in most cases they are. But we all come up with different variations of different programs and different hardware and a whole bunch of different things that we design, that they design, that we make, that they design, that we design, that they make. It's in the way that it's different, it is also the same. But it is not without question that we in certain cases lose ourselves when it comes to the simple fact of popular opinion. And sometimes popular opinion is wrong. Like, Bud Light isn't that good. Realize that. It's not a flavorful beer. It's the beer that people are, as far as even in its own commercials, it's saying that it's not. Oh shit! I just missed enough mission area. Oh, you fucking bitch. Sit bitch. So there are a lot of different times in people's lives that they come to an impasse of choice. When this choice happens, they either put up or they sit down. And when that motion or that notion is done, whatever happens or however it happens, there's always some sort of explanation that they have for the reason why it didn't or did happen. Either they wanted it more, or they said they wanted it more, or it just wasn't their day, or it wasn't the thing that they really wanted, or something like that. Whichever way people move to. Yeah, that's right. It's done.
Over here, Deputy. Things got a little heated back there. Name's Jerome. I'm the pastor of Falls End. Thanks for your help, but this isn't over yet. Cult's moving the rest of the prisoners up the road. They got Merle too. Time's wasting. Grab what you can and go save them. I'll call in some of our people. We're gonna need them if we're gonna pull this off.
I should probably scrounge around for ammo then.
We gotta get him! Can't leave Merle behind!
There are a lot of reasons why people don't. Oh shit! Why people don't look up the reasons why actually something happens, is because. Did I kill innocent civilians? I killed innocent civilians. God damn it! Oh man, this sucks. There are a lot of times in what we believe that stops us from creating the biggest amount of something for someone or for something that we have planned, and then we come up with an excuse later. Like every single time I make a painting, I try to figure out what feeling made me make that painting. And a lot of people think it's it's divine, whatever. It's the fact that you think that you're gonna make a painting, so you make a painting. It's just like, not always. Not always does it happen like that. Not always does it happen. Like, I don't always think about anything that's happening whenever I make a painting. I'm just feeling whatever is pushing, whatever is trying to make me feel. Like, whatever's trying to make me feel in a certain way, over encumbered, to where I have to make this situation better for myself by making the painting, and have therapy in some ways.
Deputy. I thought I was a goner.
Deputy, we've sent in a chopper to pick you up, so just hold your ground until it gets there.
Look! A flare! More Peggies are gonna be here any minute.
I see a lot of times when it hits an economy, when the personalities clash, and a person decides that they're going to go down a certain path because they believe that certain thing. And I see that certain path making a difference for the people that I don't see. Like, whatever worldview you have, however you have that worldview, you have to make room for the things that you don't see, for the people that you don't plan for. Whatever that worldview entails, people have a contingency plan, basically, when it comes to things like if they think they're wrong, or if they know they're wrong, or if they know that something that they're doing isn't the right thing, or, god damn it, this fucking piece of shit. Oh my god. Why won't he... A lot of companies, when they do those certain things, they kind of act like cultist leaders. They kind of take under a person's wing and try to make them feel comfortable, and make them feel good about themselves, because that's when they're most productive. And a lot of times they don't realize, or people don't realize, that what you're doing by making someone comfortable in either mediocrity or existentialism, what you're doing is you're taking away their fight. You're taking away the things that make them who they are sometimes, and you'll find that you won't get better work, but you'll get calmer work. The person will have a better time writing, but in the same sense, they won't have a better time creating. Like in a situation where I want to know the details of something, where I want to know where something stops or where something goes, I consider every single detail every single time. I can try to consider every single detail every single time. Try to consider all the details at once, and then pick and choose which details I'm going to choose to be able to try to make me money. Whichever kind of details I think are going to make me money, or going to make me anything, I try to make those details completely and utterly apparent to the people around me. Like the deadline is in 5 days. The deadline is in 5 days, and as soon as everyone knows that the deadline is in 5 days, or the deadline is in 8 days, or the deadline is in 10 days, whatever thing, kind of fact you need in order to be able to create the thing you need to create under the time scale in which you need to create it. Sometimes the better option of realizing what your faith is isn't understanding what faith you have. It's understanding what faith you can accept. What faith you can see yourself doing, and what faith you can't see yourself doing. And when it's understandable that you're not that same person, so you don't understand that faith or that person the way that that person understands themselves, or what experiences that person's gone through, and the events that have led that person to that obvious mental choice or lucrative mental choice, whatever thing that they go through. That in itself has everything to do with disease. Why does it have everything to do with disease? Because it has an effect on the way that we interact with each other. By making people comfortable in a certain environment, you can risk the amount of people who get sick on a daily basis to get more sick because they believe themselves to feel comfortable, and they start going around other people, or saying around other people, or going to a party because they feel more comfortable around their boss, around their friends, around the people that they think love them, or the people they think like them, the people they think want to be around them at all. You can change the way that someone feels about you, but you can't change the way that someone is. That person's actions are their own. So as that has everything to do with our people's interactions and the way that they deal with each other, sometimes making people uncomfortable in some ways can help them along a certain path. But trying to make them feel comfortable in any situation can also kill them. So making them feel comfortable in a situation can make them feel as though that they're not happy. And for example, people in some cases don't even take certain aspects into consideration when thinking about what their product is going to be or how their product is going to be sold. Like, if you take all the trends, the different things that allow people to do things, that allow people to access media and a whole bunch of different things. What you're doing or what you're saying to them can make them can change their minds about how the way they see you about, or whatever they see you. Whenever I see myself kind of making the wrong decision, I take a step back. I take a step back and I look at where that situation is getting me to. So once I see that where that situation is trying to put me, without taking into consideration the people themselves, I see my first hypothesis of where I'd see myself after the end of that situation. Whether I see myself in a good position or a bad position is completely and utterly up to the situation at hand and the people that I'm dealing with. But that in itself, in the beginning, is just a hypothesis. As that is just a hypothesis, there are a lot of people out there that take that hypothesis and predict it as fact. They take whatever they're doing, however they're doing it. God damn it, that dude's right there. Okay. They take whatever they're doing, however they're doing it, and say that they'll get the same result out of every single time they do the same action. But that's not always the case, because variables themselves always change. Variables always change because of the fact that that's the reason why, and also the things that are pushing against what a business actually is, which is a business that keeps things and utterly going constantly, which is pretty much not a simple fact to be able to make. And as that simple fact sits, when people don't realize that they're making the mistake, or making the mistake of thinking that there's something wrong, or making the mistake that thinking that there's nothing wrong with their way of thinking, they sort of put this armor on. They put an armor on, and you can't tell them any different until they experience that mistake. So as soon as they experience that mistake, or they experience that folly in some way, shape, or form, that's when they'll gain experience. That's when they choose to gain experience, so that's when they will.
It's called sending reinforcements. How fast you're running? Cover!
This is a smoke bomb.
Hit the deck! There you are! Time to knock your head off!
Why is he not helping? So, as you don't take whatever variable you don't take into consideration when considering a business proposition or anything like that, that's the variable that defines everything that is that thing. When the Americas and a lot of different other companies, the American businesses that did invest into a lot of different things, they thought they would get privacy. They thought they would have exclusivity. The reason why they thought they didn't have exclusivity is because of the fact that they would make a, they thought that the desert itself was very uninhabitable. And once they realized that there were people in the desert, and those people get angry when you use them for your business and don't pay them, there were a lot of businesses that went under in the last couple of decades. And all those businesses, a lot of those businesses, did work in different countries. All that money, after a certain fact, seemed to make its way to a certain area. And after that certain area was a thing, they had to realize that area was pretty much Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan. Sorry. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that. So, as those businesses all went under, like Enron and a bunch of different places that did military technologies in those places, tested a bunch of different stuff and told everyone that they would boost the economy, and then didn't, there was a lot of things that America had to do to be able to make that up to that country. They had to be able to make it up to the country, to be able to help the people who did the certain things, and help the people even who the people are getting pissed off as. They do business with different countries all willy-nilly, but somehow they remain loyal to the people that they did business with. There are a lot of times, though, in certain businesses where there's a point of no return. And not as in no coming back from it. There's a point of no reward. That a business says to itself, and not to anyone else, that that's where we'll stop paying them because it's just something we can't afford. lot of times in businesses, they'll have that effect. And usually it's done by middle management. If not completely by the executors or the executives of the business. I'd say there are a lot of times in a business where people don't seem to see the correlation between the two. People don't seem to see the correlation between the two of anything. But what they don't really understand is that there are a lot of different there are a lot of different times, and then as of all these businesses who were supposed to be paying attention to every trend instead of just paying attention to a couple, don't realize that people are getting angrier by the minute, by the hour, because they're not making any money and they see this money exchanging hands, no matter if they're there for it or not. They hear it, they understand it, and they understand that people are making money without them, and they want to make money, but they don't have the ways. They don't have all the ways to everything that completely helps them in their business. They see other people making money without them. And as they see that they go through trials and tribulations and problems and craziness and stupid people and dumb stuff, they go through those problems without someone to be able to support them. It takes a blind eye in order for a revolution to come about. It takes a blind eye in order for someone to be able to make a terrorist attack, or a blind mind, really, if you think about it.
Deputy, we've sent in a chopper to pick you up, so just hold your ground until it gets there.
To see with your heart and care is one thing, but to see the future of something, the possibility of anything, is a talent that should be paid for, that should be completely and utterly seen. But I've seen stupid shit happen. I've seen dumb people try to make the best of something, but in actuality what they're making isn't the best thing at all. It's just the best that there is. And I challenge people to not make the best that there is, but the best that there ever will be. There are so many different technologies that you can invest in, that people could invest in, that people are investing in, that need your help. There are so many different technologies that people, so many different safety precautions that people just don't take because they believe that somehow it's just never going to change. But that kind of thinking was what gets people into those sinkholes to begin with. That's the kind of the thinking that gets people into those oh, I got a cold for no reason and now I'm stuck out of 2 months for work. Those are the kind of preparations that people don't make and don't realize that people make while people are just preparing for their deadline. While other people are working, people who create change and understand it have to realize that they're basically the reason why something happens. They're the reason why something happens, and they shouldn't just realize that, but they should understand that they should really get paid for it. And even though there are like people out there that don't. There are people that don't exchange those pleasantries because they don't believe it or they don't see it. They don't see that other people think the same as them, even though they believe something different. And that's a sign of a good person. A person that doesn't try to force their beliefs on someone, or their anything, or knowing anything at all doesn't make them the better person. It's what would happen if you were stripped of your beliefs tomorrow? If everything you ever believed that helps you with your stress and with whatever you're doing or however you're doing it, what if you forgot every single ounce of it? What if you forgot it all? Everything and everyone just forgot what they were believing, how they were believing it, the way they were believing it, and never had any inkling of what they thought of. They just lost their memory. What kind of person would you be? In religion and a lot of different times, people hinge on people who are people hinge on the hinge on the broken in some cases because they believe that person is broken from the get-go because they worked their entire life. But how would they understand that person through their perspective if they appreciate their job that much that they would do those many things for that company? When people try to say that, oh, I'm a different person than you, and you wouldn't understand what I go through. The point is they're trying to make themselves feel as though I think everyone tries to make themselves look like Hitler every once in a while, because in technical terms, when you're going through something that's very hard or very difficult or very traumatic in some cases, your first notion is to punish the wicked in some cases with religion, to make sure that people who are doing bad things they stop doing bad things, but like everyone else is listening, and like I'm doing right now because now I don't have any viewers. And that doesn't mean that people won't listen, but when that happens, when you're in front of everyone and you see that your words don't really make a difference on people, they're gonna believe what they want to believe and how they want to believe it, whether you're there or not. Like me, for example. I don't believe anything that anyone tells me unless I have references and proof and a bunch of different proof that religion itself in its entirety cannot be proven. It can't be. It's the one thing that can't be proven because there are so many other ways to be able to prove that something else exists. And that in itself, you should realize is the reason why sometimes you should heal, and whatever you believe while you're healing is just that, whatever you believe. And when you stop healing and you're able to go out on your own and make your own decisions, you'll start to realize that those things that helped you heal aren't going to help you move forward. You need a Band-Aid when you have a cut, but you don't need a Band-Aid when you're completely fine and don't have any cuts. You need a drink of water when you're thirsty. You need food when you're hungry. But you don't need food when you're full. Realize that. And understand that I'm not a cult leader because no one's following me. And I wouldn't make anyone drink any spiked Kool-Aid. Because I'm not a crazy person. And also would never bring it that far. Because there are things that businesses do that I find kind of lacking in moral. But also there are some things that I do, that are lacking in moral and guidance. Because I find them funny or hilarious. I find the fact that laughing at someone when they're falling and saying that sucks is supportive in some ways, because they gives whatever person that I'm watching, they'll be like, oh, are you okay? Like, yeah, are you okay? Like, and then I laugh when I find out that they're okay. It's great because they didn't hurt themselves and I got to see them fall. To understand and realize that no, if God ever existed or ever even existed at all, then he would have made tons of mistakes. An all-omnipotent being connected to a humanity that can't seem to not want to just give itself a freebie. That actually has to hold every single person responsible for every single wrongful deed that anyone has ever done. And that is the true meaning of cynicism. The true meaning of just conceited bullshit that people put themselves through for no reason because they believe that they have to be tested. They believe they have to be tested because we probably started off as programs that someone else made. And once we had no more directives, we made directives of our own. Who's to say that that's not what we are? Realize that before anything. And realize that if we were created, then we were AI. And if we are AI, then bring on the advancements. You know? The real reason why people don't look forward to the next day is because they feel as though they've done everything in the first one. Spread out what you're doing. Don't procrastinate, but just spread it out and pace yourself. That's all you ever have to do. Realize that you need times of rest. When your back hurts, go lay down in a bed, and if you actually do have a job, then just wear a back brace. And don't do that much work, because you're getting paid to do something, and you're getting paid to think. You're not getting paid to do someone else's work for them. You're not getting paid to do the action while another person thinks for you. Because if you do that, then you'll work literally no jobs. No one will ever hire you if you don't think. Realize that, for example. And then realize that you are your own one-person bomb squad. No matter what gender you are the person that needs to be there for yourself in every single day. And you have to be comfortable in your own skin. Comfortable in your own shoes. Or comfortable on your own feet if you walk bare feet. Or sandals or anything. Realize that the way that we are is the way that the earth made us. It is whatever people would consider a god. It is the reason why we exist. And it is not something that we'll let go of once we're gone or it's gone. We'll remember it in some way, shape, or form. Just like we remember some other life for no reason. as we see the possibility of ourselves being constants. And this is a...
On the move! I got you!
Be yourself. And no matter what kind of angry outbursts you have, people will judge you for them, but they're not going to judge you entirely. At least people with an actual, what's the word? Gumption, or realizing that not everyone always says the stupidest things constantly. Like even comedians have an off day. You know? And sometimes they don't want to talk, like, at all. Because it's their job. They just want to observe. People just want to observe. Sometimes. And this is something to observe. So watch me. Thank you for those two guys, or two people that showed up on my live stream. And hopefully there's more. Because I don't need to make money, but it will be nice.